Welcome, Gabe.
Hey, how are you guys?
Thought you were gonna have your lacrosse uniform on.
Yeah, hey, give it 3 days and we'll see.
Yeah, yeah. Is your schedule calming down a little bit?
Yeah, definitely. We're actually still on vacation as of Friday, so
Oh,
got some
good,
time left.
good, good. Hey, welcome, Kyle.
Hey, what's going on? Sorry, I don't think this is the best I'm gonna be able to do for lighting, but hey, how's it going?
Good.
Oops,
Hey, Kelly, welcome.
sorry. Hi, guys. I'm in the dark too a little bit here. See what I can do.
Hey, where'd you get that snazzy shirt, Christian?
What's you like that one, huh?
Yeah, is that a new one?
Well, it's the old new ones now that the purple came out. It was a new one 2 weeks ago, and then the purple branded stuff came out.
Gonna have to replace my whole wardrobe.
I know, right?
I just ordered that T-shirt.
Yeah.
Nice.
I was going to ask you guys. They had that with the racial voting thing on it, and the one of the it says no shed or something like that. Said, are we allowed to have uncensored T-shirts when we're?
Well, I think the GSD is approved. That came on a national call. Miles Taylor, who is one of the leaders at the merger, he was the one who had that Post-it note on his computer leading up to the merger, and GSD stood for Get Shit Done.
Yeah.
So they did a little fundraiser at the announcement on that call at the announcement of the merger, and they said if they hit the goal that they'd make merch to match it, and sure enough, that came through. So welcome, Rachel. Welcome, Tim. Good to see you guys. Welcome, Marianne.
Evening, everybody.
Craig, glad you can join us.
Hey, how are you?
Look forward to talking to you sometime soon.
Yes, indeed.
Connect. Yes, good. Welcome, David. I'll make the obligatory statement for Zoom calls. We're going to give it just another minute or two. We have quite a few more RSVPs than what's here, although we still expect there not to be a match, but we will give it just another minute or two before starting, knowing that some others will join us then. A little surprised to see that the only face that I recognize from when I took a trip out to Philadelphia a week and a half ago is Tim so far. It was a great gal. There's Robert. Even as I say it, he drops in to make sure that that's not the truth. Robert was there with us that day. Actually had a chance to connect with him just briefly, even on my drive home. So, but a week and a half ago, for everyone else's benefit, we had the opportunity to host Andrew Yang for a brief meetup. Kind of happened pretty spontaneously. We found out Monday afternoon for a Friday lunchtime visit. Tim did a great job in finding a location. We were at the New Deck Tavern. For those of you familiar with Philly, right there in Tim, correct me on it. It's University City
Yes,
area. Okay, see,
Ken and Drexel.
I'm learning my Philly a little bit thanks to everyone's help.
It's not easy.
Yeah. Hey, welcome, Lee. I'm glad you could join us.
Hey, great. I'm glad I could make it. I'm gonna leave my video off for a little while because I'm eating a late dinner.
Sure, sure. Good to see you again, Robert.
Hey,
I expect some additional people to join us, but I want to go ahead and respect your time. Thank you for being here on time. We'll go ahead and get started. The meeting is being recorded. That'll be available for anyone who wants to review it. And if you want to share it with anyone who wasn't able to be here tonight. Thank you for joining us. We do a monthly statewide meeting. And expect that to continue. And we typically aim for the third Monday of the month. And we try to get that officially announced at least 2 weeks ahead of time. And next month, it will be the Monday prior to Memorial Day. So for those who want to join us again next month, you can consider that now. Want to move ahead to the next slide, Jack, and just. All right. So here's just a brief overview of tonight's agenda. I'm going to try to get through a few welcoming and opening remarks here, and then hand off the meeting to Jack, who's going to walk us through the candidate and election process. We're going to meet the candidates for our executive committee. Up to this point, we've had interns for all of our officers and what will be elected positions. We had opened up the nomination process a month ago and had a number of people submit themselves. And additionally, I think all of the interim people also had thrown their hat in the ring. So we'll have a chance for everyone to meet those people and discuss what that election process is going to look like. And then we're going to have Tim join us to talk about our finance campaign, and then a brief team report with the time that's remaining, just so you can know how you can get involved with the different teams. First, we want to start with the 3 principles and talk about what those look like, and we'll go into greater discussion about these in future meetings, but we think it's important to keep in mind free people, thriving communities, and vibrant democracies. These are the 3 pillars or principles that hold up the big tent that bring us all together. We recognize that there's a diversity of thought and differences of opinions on what needs to happen, but with these principles, we can come centered around them and build a better party, a new kind of party, a new kind of approach. Our purpose is to cultivate and support leaders and elected officials that will support these principles, listen to the priorities of the people, and embrace accountability while leading in a way that gets things done. And so we're going to be sending out something in the near future, surveying what the priorities are to you. We want to hear from not just those who are involved with the Forward Party, but even your friends, family, neighbors, people who are throughout the state. What are the priority issues that people want to see addressed? So that we should be discussing and bringing this diversity of thought and everything that makes us stronger as a party together, finding solutions, being solution oriented. With that feedback, we're going to take that with us to our first PA State in-person working session. This summit is available and opened for anyone who wants to get more heavily involved. We have a room reserved now for who we expected to show up for this, and this is somewhat centered around those elected positions and those who have stepped up into leadership. And we had a few extra seats. We have another room that we can move into. If additional people want to be there and be part of this process, we welcome you. We want you to be part of that conversation and in the room. We will be doing some formal business, including adopting the bylaws and formally installing the officers that get elected through the process that we'll be discussing tonight. In addition, there's a full agenda where we'll be doing some shared learning. And I'll be dropping that agenda in the chat here before the meeting is done so that you can take a look at that and let us know if you want to come and join us. We'd love to have you. It's one day from 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. Followed by a social time. We're gonna stick around and have dinner together. So we would welcome your involvement and participation in that meeting if you'd like to be there.
Whoops.
All right. Before we get into elections, or Jack, are you taking it from here?
You can take it or I can take it.
We'll both talk on this one. You're going to talk about elected positions, and that's great. We want to talk about that. But even outside of those elected positions with leading the party, there's lots of opportunities for people to get involved, and it takes everyone to get involved. And with as little as an hour a month, you can make a big difference in what we can accomplish with growing this party and giving people, Pennsylvanians, real choice. So while you're at these meetings, I hope that you're listening for that chance to sign up and get involved, figure out which team that might look like, or maybe you have an idea that's not talked about at all. You just want to send us a message, a note, and say, hey, I have an idea of what we can do. Maybe I want to step up in my county. Maybe I just want to host a get together in my own neighborhood. All of those things are necessary. And an important part of building the Forward Party. So, Jack, take it away.
You bet. And I just want to echo what Christian said. We're going to be spending probably the next hour talking about the nominations and the election process and giving you guys a chance to introduce yourselves to folks that might not know you as well as you know you. And
Hey, Jack.
Yeah.
Hey, Jack, could I interrupt just for a second?
Yes, you may.
I'm Tim Snyder, and I just put the best place to get involved. Let me say, we're all focused at statewide and region-wide activities is your own county. Many people, a handful of people or a lot of people are on our connection website from each of the counties. And so one of the quickest and best ways for all of us to get involved is in our own county, helping connect with other people in the county. I'm trying to get track of all of the counties people are in. And I put my email address on the chat. If any of you would just let me know what county you're in. And eventually we'll have a robust list of here's all the people we know and which counties they're from. And that's probably a way that every person involved can get involved extremely locally. I just want to emphasize that opportunity. Okay, take it away, Jack.
You bet, Tim. And by the way, all politics are local, right? That's old.
Well, that's what I thought.
It's still true today. So let's talk a little bit about why we're here for this portion of the show. It's our executive committee nomination. So all of this comes to pass. So we have a number of interim, our executive leadership now are all officially interim. And they've taken us to where we are today. But in order to be a political entity in Pennsylvania, we need to actually sign the painting and formally elect folks. So we want to follow our own principles of bringing democracy back into democracy. And so we did a broad poll where we were soliciting people to self-nominate. Obviously, everybody can't be the state chair, but everybody can do something, as we just discussed. And so as we go through this process, we appreciate the fact that you volunteered. So even if for whatever reason you don't win a seat, it doesn't mean you're not going to be a huge player on the success of the Forward Party in Pennsylvania. So what you see is kind of the process that we started last month, where we collected the names, we socialized the plan, we created a survey monkey. We did not have a slate of endorsed candidates because we decided not to do that. So what we did do is send a communication out to everyone and ask people to self-nominate. And then we collected all of those. I closed the nomination today at noon. And I now have 12 people who've thrown their hat in the ring for various places. And we're going to kind of spin down that list. And we're going to give everybody up to 4 minutes to advocate for themselves and their desire to be an officer in the state Forward Party. And more importantly, let us know who you are and how you came to be and what made you interested in the Forward Party, so we can get to know each other a little bit better. And then there may be some on the fly changes that people are saying, hey, you know, rather than this role, maybe I'd run for that role. And that's okay with me, because tomorrow I'm going to start putting together the ranked choice voting ballot. And then we'll circulate it and we'll let that run for a week and let the state and everyone use our own process to select our own officers. And of course, once they're selected, then they can go to our state summit and actually ratify our bylaws, and then we're off and running. So this is like the next big step. So let me tell you who's been nominated. So for state chair, we have one person threw his hat in the ring. And I have to tell you, I'm pretty happy about it, because he's the guy that kind of started the whole thing and got me involved in it. So Christian will be, he's our interim lead. If it's got a star on it, that's our interim lead. For state secretary, Ben Valamont and Robert O'Connor. I don't know if Robert's here today. I did reach out to everyone. Is there another screen I can't see, because it's really hard for me to, we just have the 15 people on the call? Christian?
There's 22 participants.
Okay, great. Glad there's more folks out here. You all have to forgive me, because I'm facilitating this and it's my computer is what's sharing, so I can't see everyone. But what we're going to do is, I'll let you read the rest of these lists. I'm not going to read down everybody's name, but we're going to go into sort of that order and give everybody a chance to, if they're here, tell us a little bit about themselves. And by golly, we're going to try to find you a place here in the state party. I will tell you, you will notice my name is not on this list, which is why I'm facilitating this. I might be the only person in the state of Pennsylvania that's not running for public office today. So but kidding aside, I can tell you, as we started earlier, there's just a lot of work to be done, and there's a lot of, you don't have to be a chair in order to contribute. I can promise you that. Any questions on this before we get started? All right, Christian, you are first, and this is the way it's going to look. I'm going to hit start. And you have up to 4 minutes to talk to that slide, my friend. And you're wasting time on mute.
There we go. Thought everyone had enough of my voice, maybe. But no, I appreciate the chance to talk to you guys again and maybe introduce myself, share some things differently than how I normally do. I got involved with this through Andrew Yang. I was always an independent registered voter, and I would show up at the polls at the primaries and make them turn me away. And I never really felt like I had a political home until I heard Andrew Yang's stump speech, or actually it was some of his long form conversation. And I heard someone who was chasing solutions and trying to bring a new voice to politics. And it resonated with me, and I knew I wanted to get involved. And I also followed the frustration with many people, as that didn't come to fruition. And then when he decided to end his race and go a different direction, but I understood the reasons why and what it meant to build a big tent and bring people together. Some of my experience with working on some different boards, I had the opportunity to bring Visit Monroeville Board and Monroeville Area Chamber of Commerce under one roof. And there was a couple different thoughts as to why that should or should not happen. But that merger kind of gave me a little bit of insider view as to what it means to put some personal agenda aside for a greater good. Part of what Andrew said that really resonated with me is when he talked about his kids. And my kids are grown now. I have 3 kids and they all live, or 2 of them live out of state. My daughter is coming up from North Carolina later tonight. I'll be picking her up at the airport. I have another daughter in New York City, and then my son that lives nearby. But while they're grown, their future is still, far ahead of them. And I want to do everything I can to leave them with a bright future. I know how optimistic I was when I was a kid. I'm still an optimistic person, but I've definitely become more cynical. Because I just have my eyes open and realize what we're surrounded by. And I want to be part of changing that and bring solutions. So the best way that I can serve the party is to make myself available. I don't need to be your chairman, but I'm happy to serve in that role. And I'm happy to step aside when somebody else is ready to step in that role. And I'll do everything I can to help build Pennsylvania forward and the Forward Party nationally, because I believe it's part of the healing that this country needs. So it's good to talk to you guys from a little bit different perspective and share some of that tonight.
So Christian, that was just a shade over 3 minutes. Nice job. You got 55 seconds left to answer any questions. Does anybody have anything they'd like to ask Christian before we move on? They'll have to speak up because I can't see if your hand's raised. Thank you, sir. Whoops. Ben, want to talk to us a little bit about your story and why you want to be secretary?
Sure. My name is Benjamin Belmont, and I am seeking the position of as secretary of the Pennsylvania Forward Party. I discovered the Forward Party last summer after watching Andrew Yang's interview with Ian Bremmer. That interview opened my eyes as to what the Forward Party is all about. First and foremost, the Forward Party is not trying to be a spoiler party. We seek to be a collaborative organization, and we hope to change the incentives in our political system. Of utmost concern are implementing open primaries, ranked choice voting, and independent redistricting commissions. With our 3 principles of free people, thriving communities, and vibrant democracy, I hope to unite our United States through the Forward Party. As secretary, I hope to be a leader in bringing our Commonwealth forward. A bit about my beginnings I consider them quite humble. I was born in Clearfield County as the son of a nurse and a truck driver. After my parents divorced, I grew up in Reynoldsville and graduated from the Du Bois Area High School in 2002. I then attended the University of Pittsburgh's main campus, where I graduated with a triple major in history, philosophy, and political science, along with a minor in German studies. I then attended what is now named the Thomas R. Klein School of Law at Duquesne University. After my first year, I attended Duquesne Law School's summer study of law in Beijing, China. In my 3rd year, I also participated in the Urban Development Clinic, where I wrote bench memoranda from pending land use appeals. And I also wrote a couple of draft city code revisions, one of which was for encouraging green roofs, and another creating the City of Pittsburgh's Sustainability Commission. This gave me a deep understanding of local governments, and I did earn my Juris Doctor and passed the Pennsylvania bar exam in 2009. After law school, I found work as an attorney abstractor. My day job consists of ascertaining the ownership of real estate and mineral interests and leasehold rights underlying various tracts of land. This has given me a wealth of experience with complex real estate and energy contracts. Because of my expertise is highly regarded, I have also been tasked with reviewing my colleagues' work. When I started volunteering with the Pennsylvania Forward Party, they asked me to become the interim secretary. As in this role, I have worked tirelessly in forming our Pennsylvania Forward Party. I spearheaded the effort to draft our bylaws. Without my leadership, we would probably not be presenting these bylaws to you as soon as we are. The leadership team has come to rely on my skills and efforts. Although I welcome the challenge, I do fear that if we lost my talent as secretary, we might have a major setback in forming the Pennsylvania Forward Party. As the first elected secretary, I hope to make the Pennsylvania Forward Party an important player in our Commonwealth's politics.
Nice job and perfectly timed, Ben. Does anybody have any questions for Ben? Right. Whoops. Robert, are you with us?
Yep.
Is
How's it
this
going?
is this a different Robert, or are you the Robert that's running for secretary, Robert?
I'm definitely the wrong Robert. Sorry about that. I just
No worries. And we're going to go through and maybe he will join us later. Tim Snyder, you're on. Maybe not. Young Tim. Tim had to step away.
You probably want me to unmute myself.
Yeah, that would help.
Yes, well, I'd gladly be muted by any of you who would like to be the fundraising chair. Now, no, seriously, I happen to love it. I was fortunate enough to follow Jack Benny's advice and find something I loved and do it. So I've been a fundraising professional for about 40 years. And my message to all of you, because all of you are pretty good at telling the story, telling your story. And that's really what fundraising is all about. First of all, knowing who you are and telling who you are, and sharing that authentically with passion and optimism, and then listening to other people's story. The listening is probably 75% of the job. Telling the story is about 25% of your job. I don't need to talk long here because I don't think there's anybody who wants to be within 10 feet of a fundraiser. But I would encourage you, especially going back to my comment about the county, we eventually will need somebody in every county to help tell our story. We have a lot to talk about. We've raised about $6,000 from zero on the way toward 30,000, and we'll talk about that in a little bit. But I welcome all of your participation. I've always seen my job as a service job, supporting other people achieving their goals. My attraction to what the Forward Party values is I'm passionate about the middle. I'm passionate about bipartisanship and multi-partisanship and every voice being respected and civilized and working together. And that's why I've devoted some time to helping the Forward Party organize. I think we can find the part of every candidate who is forward. And what we're going to be about, I think, is to promote those people who can endorse our values. And those three core values and pillars of being, people are free, vibrant democracies, and thriving communities. And that means something different to every one of us. So anyway, I welcome the opportunity to serve, and hopefully many of you will join me.
So this is an opportunity for you to break through. Robert says he loves fundraisers because he's not sure that fundraisers love him. So you could show him a little love, Tim, and bring him back, bring him on board there a little bit.
He's on.
All right, sounds good.
So I see my friend Brian is on the screen, and he's running for the West Pittsburgh Region State Chair. Brian?
Yeah, thank you so much. I live in Pittsburgh now, but I'm from Newcastle, Pennsylvania. A small town where the mill closed down 40 years ago, and it's always been depressed my entire life. And my whole family's Republican, and I was the one Democrat black sheep of the family my whole life. And then I did a lot of jobs. I worked at a newspaper and got to see how that was crumbling, and found how you get out in the neighborhood and recruit kids to be paper carriers and actually get out there. And then I worked for a staffing agency where I was recruiting people for big warehouses and factories, and learned a way to do middle management and recruiting efforts in different areas, and work out in the field to talk to strangers. And then I made a career change and I went to Colorado for 2 years where I studied renewable energy. And the same month I graduated school out there, I was able to get a job at a solar company in Pittsburgh. So I was able to move back home. Being somewhat of an environmentally conscious person, I started working with a group called Citizens Climate Lobby that proposes a carbon fee and dividend where money is taken from carbon at the source and then redistributed to all the citizens on a monthly or yearly basis. So when Andrew Yang came out talking about universal basic income, that really jived with what I was already talking about, as far as these dividends. And I saw in him someone that I thought I and my family could both support. It was a new way of looking at politics that really looked like something that could reach across the aisle. And on top of that, I see our lower offices, the state offices, the local offices, that because of the crumbling newspaper I worked at, doesn't get covered. And there's just no focus on the base of politics. And so therefore, all the news that anybody watches is this big nationwide drama, and we just need to focus on the ground floor. So I was thrilled. I read Andrew Yang's Forward book as soon as it came out and made sure that my everyone around me knew who he was. And when I was asked to be part of the Forward Party leadership team a year ago, I was happy to get on board. It's been a long ride. I'm so glad that we've made so much progress and there's so many people involved now. I'm happy to keep serving as long as people will have me. And if it's not an elected role, I'll find some other way to help.
Thank you, Brian. Does anyone have any questions for Brian?
Brian, this is Tim Snyder. Would you talk a little bit about your communications contribution?
Absolutely. So there's behind the scenes of the Forward Party, we work on a program called Nation Builder. It's something I had no real understanding of before getting involved, but it's taken a long time to learn. So that's how we send out our blast emails to everyone. That's how we keep track of communication with each person that we communicate with. And, as new people have come on board and been trained and given abilities to access Nation Builder, it's been a lot of, work to train everybody up on what they're doing. There's also the email address, Pennsylvania@forwardparty.com. I primarily manage that along with Christian Clark. And then we have the social media pages, and that Gabe and I basically do that. There's a lot going on, and as more people come on board, they get more of the duties. But for a long time, it was me and Christian and a couple others holding things together.
Any other questions for Brian? Is Patrick Weeks with us?
Patrick reached out to me earlier today. and said that he would like to be considered for endorsement to run for public office. He's looking to put his hat in the ring for a city council position in the city of Pittsburgh. So he'll be reaching out and submitting an application to run for public office. And with that in mind, he thought it would be best to withdraw from this election.
That's cool. Not that he's dropping out, but that he's asking for our support to run for office. That's outstanding. Okay. William Mason, are you with us? I'm a little concerned that, because I did send a note, did you, you guys that are on the list, did y'all get an email from me? Like today or yesterday, reminding you with the link with the what we were going to do and that I was going to call on everybody?
Yep.
You did?
Yep.
Okay,
I received it.
all right. Did the link work? Kelly, did you got the email? I see you're nodding. Did the link work that I sent? Okay.
Everything worked.
I was really hoping that everybody was going to be able to make it. Okay. Emily Corns, are you with us? She's running for the West Region, not Pittsburgh State Chair.
I think the time was a conflict for her, Jack.
Was it? Okay.
I also believe that she was actually running for the central, not capital region.
So that's great. So, but maybe let's have a quick conversation about, so Mr. Mason is in Erie. That's clear to me, going to be West Region, not Pitt, right? That's Northwest, right?
Yes, that's the most northwest county. Pretty
That's
much.
what I was thinking. Isn't that right near what we used to call the Pennsylvania beaches? It's like, isn't there an island beach out there somewhere? Okay, you guys don't know, but I'm in a little town called Unionville, which is big. We have 600 people in our township. It's just south of you, Kelly. It's like we are a long way from the beach here. It's like we do horses and stuff. Yeah. Okay, so if we have decided that Emily is, if Somerset's in the central, not capital region, do I get a show of hands and we'll put her on the ballot in the capital side? Is that, I'll just change it on the ballot?
I think you need to ask her, but I'm.
Yeah, I would have, I will absolutely ask her. I'm just, and then, and actually, I'm going to ask everybody who's not here to confirm that they're still interested, because I don't want to put somebody on the ballot if they're not interested, right? I mean, there's a variety of reasons.
You want to talk about Philadelphia now? I do not want to I didn't realize I was in the Philadelphia region when I nominated myself. I do not want to challenge the interim chair. So you know, if there's some place else I could be of use, just, you know, let me know. Or if you decide to do something else as far as regionally, you know, I'm open to just about anything.
So,
Well, no,
I was
wait, well,
thinking-
not everything.
Kelly, this
Not
is-
fundraising.
I made the mistake
Okay.
by misreading Berks County and thinking it was Bucks County.
Right,
And
okay.
so for all of the kerfluffle, I'm so embarrassed. Ben luckily straightened me out today that Berks County, which is northwest a little bit of us, is not a collar county like Bucks County is. So there's plenty for you to do, but I apologize because I made the mistake
Oh,
about
okay,
signing
I
you.
was,
great. I'm in the south. I'm way south. I'm near Jack, actually. I'm just above Jack.
Right.
Right.
yeah,
I wish I lived in Chester County, actually.
well, you're very kind. The so So I would actually say, Bill, that Berks County does not see itself as capital. I mean, it would be on the capital side, not north central anyway, right?
I was looking at the map and I'm thinking, if you're looking at Philadelphia, it's like 8 million people, Bucks County, Montgomery County, Chester County, and Delaware County, those 5 counties alone should be a region. And
That's
then
right.
Berks, Lehigh, Northampton, I mean, even taking some of the northeast, because there's 14 counties in the northeast. It's going to be a bear for, one person to try and build up membership. I mean, if Kelly's willing, maybe we should look into splitting those 2 regions into 3.
So this is not the forum for that. So
I understand.
So what I'd like to do is I'm just, it's not my call anyway, right? But we've had so much discussion on whether or not we were going to have 6 regions or 7 and 5 and whatnot, and it's still being hammered out. And ultimately, this team's going to hammer it out, right? So what I would like to do is acknowledge that Kelly wants to take a leadership role. Clearly, she can be the Berks County leader, right? I mean, it's like, yeah, that's an appointed leader, right? So you're elected, okay? But then to Bill's point, we're still figuring out the regions, right? And if we're going to split the eastern region into a north central southeast region and a northeast east region or something like that, then there could be a play there. Now, if you guys want to, otherwise, and I'm not for sure certain, because I fly over all this world on a regular basis. I'm not so certain that I would put Berks County in eastern Pennsylvania. It smells and acts a lot more like the capital region in a lot of the ways.
Overall, yes, most definitely.
Right. So, I mean, you have to live here like Kelly and I do to understand.
Right.
It's kind of like where I live. I'm in the Philadelphia region because you guys told me I am a collar county. But believe me, we think of ourselves as Lancaster. I mean, it's like, my biggest mall's in Christiana, Delaware. I mean, I'm so far away from Philly, and the way I think, it's just like you can't get your mind around it. So
That's interesting. I see it as like the Lehigh Valley area almost, the way I look at it. But, I'm not in the area.
I think of myself as the Philly region, but not my neighbors. And I've lived here my whole life. I'm born and bred in Berks County, blue collar family, steel mill stuff. So I have that experience, and I respect that whole part of, Berks County's situation.
So the decision we would have to make here as we move on is, one, does Kelly run against you, Bill, on the eastern for Eastern, not Philly? Does Kelly run against, because we don't know where it's going to be, does Kelly run against Kyle as Philly, which she's already said she doesn't want to do, right? Or does Kelly withdraw temporarily until we find a place for her to fit? And I don't have a dog in a hunt, so you guys can arm wrestle.
Well, I was going to say also, based on what Kelly was saying, and what to Tim's point earlier, that we're looking for county level leaders. So, I mean, as far as whether it's in Philly or it's in the East, we could continue to have that conversation. I personally think it makes sense to have it lumped in with Philly, but I think there's an argument to be had there. But I mean, I think there's definitely places within the regional team outside of just the chair where, you could have an impact there. So just wanted to add that as well.
So Kelly, what do you want to do?
I would prefer not to run against Bill either. I'm just putting that out there. I'm a little more of a newer member of the movement of the party. And I'm fine right now just representing Berks County. And, here's my bio if you're interested, if anybody wants to.
Oh, you're going to get to talk to it in a minute. I'm going to get.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
All right, so I'll withdraw. I'll withdraw from the election.
Okay, but I
For now,
want you to
unless
tell us
the-
your bio so people can hear about you, okay?
Okay, sure.
All right. Hector, are you with us?
I don't think Hector is signed in.
Yeah, he might have had a challenge. I know he was very interested in sharing this, and he's been very, very active as the Capital Region State Chair so far. Okay. Kyle, you want to talk to us a little bit about how it is you got involved with the Forward Party?
Absolutely, and I will try to keep it brief. I am on the road here, so I apologize. So I work in finance. I work at Vanguard. Started with the Forward Party basically. In college, I went to University of Delaware for political science and public policy. I worked on Governor Carney, who's the Democrats' campaign. I also worked with the Pennsylvania Republicans. So I've always identified more as a conservative Republican, but like always have been like open-minded. And then in late 2020, I actually started my own third party called the Middle Party. Pretty much the same thing that we got going on here with the Forward Party. That led to me being recruited by Ethan Demme, who was the Pennsylvania chair of the SAM Party. And I became the Chester County chair there. And then obviously, as Yang started the Forward Party, kind of had my hands in both jars there. And then obviously the merger, and have since been the interim Philadelphia chair. As the Philadelphia chair, oversaw our first endorsed candidate. So we put together events in Bucks County. So I feel like that put a pretty good roadmap for how we could use our regional resources to go to a specific county and like for specific races. And we've had a few in-person events that have been well. We have regional Zoom meetings. Probably the proudest thing that I have is that we have a social media team and an events team that has meetings regularly that I don't usually attend. And they've been very active. So being able to enable other people to be leaders, I think has been one of my strong suits. And I think going into this year, we have a really good plan for local races. We already have people across the region who are interested in running. I think we have a good strategy there. And then just to kind of finish, like I said, we have regional meetings. So Kelly, we're actually having one tomorrow. So I hope that you can make it tomorrow night. And we can talk more about putting you in a position to lead there. But yeah, that's me.
That's super, Kyle. And we're delighted that you're on the team with all that experience. And anybody have any questions for Kyle? All right, Kelly, you're up.
Okay, great. So yes, I'm a lifelong Democrat. I'm not even a disgruntled Democrat. At times I've been slightly disgruntled in my 51 years on the earth, but generally that's where I fall on the spectrum. And I come from, a family of Union Democrats post World War II. Birdsboro is, like we said, is a steel mill town. And I come from a blue collar family where I'm the first person to go to college, period. And now I actually I'm in a doctoral program at Alvernia for community leadership. So I've come a long way there. I was a history major as an undergrad. So shout out to anyone else that was a history major. I went to Westchester for my undergrad, and I got a counseling degree from Kutztown. So I'm also a big proponent of the state school system in Pennsylvania, and now I am at Alvernia, which is a small Catholic university in Reading. So even though I was not necessarily disgruntled with the Democratic Party, I'm totally disgruntled with the state of party politics right now. We're polarized to the point where we don't even accomplish anything. And in the process, we leave gridlock in our wake, and we bully our neighbors, and I know you know all those things. I don't need to really repeat them. So countless times in the past couple years, I've said, like, I can't believe no one wants to do anything about this. I can't believe that, you know, and also from the Democratic side, as soon as I would hear Republicans speaking out about it, i.e. Forward Party, former Republicans, my ears went up, and I just knew after a few months of, you know, of checking this out, that I needed to do something. You know, I needed to do something to, you know, put my feelings into action. I can bitch and complain all day long, but that's not going to solve the problem. And, you know, there I have it. So anyway, I work for a mental health nonprofit in Berks County. And I find myself now on the board of the mental health developmental disabilities advisory board for the county, which I really love that part of my job. And I make a lot of good connections that way. And it's not something I really saw myself doing before now, but it's all kind of evolving. I don't want to run for office. That's putting my thoughts into action. I don't think would be running for office. I just don't think I'm the right person for that. Anyway, so that's me in Berks County.
Well,
Any
thank you.
questions? Any questions?
I want to chip in. I'm also in Berks County, Kelly. I'm Michael. I'm right by your college. So it's good to hear that we have somebody that has been working up here.
Oh, thanks, Michael. I did not know. I know you now.
So it sounds like we have the beginning of the Berks County Forward Commission. I think that's
Yes, great. Good to know.
Bill, you're on.
Well, hopefully everyone can hear me. So my name's Bill Detweiler. I live in East Stroudsburg, Monroe County. My wife and I have been married for 33 years. We have 2 adult daughters, Kim and Jess, both who still live in East Stroudsburg. One lives at home with us and one has moved out, but she still lives in the neighborhood. Not recently, about 4 years ago, we became grandparents for the first time. And that's when I started realizing that, you know what, there's something more that I can do to help change the way this country's going. Just seeing my little granddaughter and all these school shootings and knowing she's going to start school this year is, just breaks my heart just thinking about it. So I joined the Forward Party, I believe, back in November of last year. But then I kind of fell out of touch for a little while until Brian McMurray called me and asked me if I still wanted to be involved. And since then, that was about a month and a half ago. Since then, I became involved. I've been part of the leadership team for the last month and a half, part of the created and started the newsletter team with Rachel and Ben. And, Brian has helped on that. Brian McMurray has also helped on that with giving us his insights. I currently am an operations manager for a trucking company. It's a $10.5 million a year branch with 30 direct reports. I've been there for about 11 years now. I have a BA in management with a leadership concentration, graduate certificate in project management, and I'm currently enrolled at the University of Arkansas online for a master's degree in operations management. I'm an action-oriented person. I enjoy creating structure and organization, putting things in the right order, making order out of chaos, basically. And, I bring years of management and leadership experience, as well as a passion for continuous improvement. I'm always looking for ways to improve myself, improve the things that are around me, and improve processes. As the Northeast Regional Chair, which is it used to be called. My goal is to build membership, recruit new leaders, and drive engagement. Really, that's the main thing, is we have to engage the people that sign up. A lot of people are signing up, but then they just they're passive. We want to try and make people more active in the party. And that's really all I have.
Thank you, Bill. Any other questions for Bill? So here's what I see then. Thank you guys all. It's not fun to put yourself out like that in front of strangers. So I see that we have Christian and Ben for sure. I will reach out to Robert. And well, you know, I'll talk to you guys, Christian, and we can decide that if one of us doesn't hear back from him in some period of time, if we reach out to somebody who's not here to ask them to confirm their desire to run, which would be Robert and Patrick. We're gonna move Emily, William. Then if they don't confirm or respond, then I think arguably we could take their name off the nomination ballot after some reasonable period of time, and we can have a discussion about that and decide what that would be. Or I could just leave everybody on the ballot and reuse ranked choice voting anyway, and it's not likely it would make an impact, right? I guess I'm leaning toward anyone who's not formally withdrawn should stay on the ballot.
Well, they would be elected to a position.
Who?
If anybody that stayed on the ballot and got any votes at all.
Oh, I see. If they're running unopposed, yeah, I struggle with that. Can we have a brief conversation with just the 20 of us? What do you guys think is fair here? I'm kind of with Tim. I'm okay leaving somebody on the ballot if they're running against someone, but to have somebody put their name down for an unopposed slot where they suddenly become a member of the leadership team without really having any history with the party or even coming to the nomination thing strikes me as being hard for me to get my mind around.
At least they need to confirm.
Yeah, I would say they would at least need to confirm, and it shows a little bit that if they couldn't contact us and let us know that they couldn't make it and just didn't show up.
I would agree. There's a difference between the time just didn't work for them and they confirmed they want to run versus just filling out a nomination form but then not responding or showing. I don't know if I'd want to accidentally have them be in charge of something.
Okay, so I will reach out.
I agree with that.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, Lee has his hand up.
Say again?
Did they fill if they filled out a nomination form? I mean, isn't that an affirmative statement of intent?
Well, yeah, I mean, so that's where the conundrum comes, Lee. So someone like fills out a nomination form for a senior leadership role in the party. If it works out, they're running unopposed. It means suddenly they're elected. When nobody knows who they are, other than what you see on the screen, we don't know anything about them. They haven't at least come to introduce themselves. All we know about them is they filled out this form and what I put on the screen.
Are any of them?
I'm sorry, go ahead, Lee.
Sorry, are any of them people that that the leadership has had direct contact with in the past, or they just like filled out something online and we don't personally know them?
The latter in most cases.
Okay.
Are we referring to Hector, the one that's unopposed right now?
Oh no, Hector. I'm sure Hector couldn't make it. Hector's been a very active member here. Works tirelessly to support the party and has made most every meeting and contributes a great deal. So I mean, we all know Hector. We know he.
You're just talking about the secretarial position and.
Yeah, I'm talking about like Robert O'Connor, who might be a really,
Oh.
really good guy, but I don't know anything about him.
Bob Connor has been present at many meetings, actually. You'd probably
Right.
recognize him if he would show up.
Okay,
He goes
If
by
you
Bob.
if you put the grid back up, I do think there's some names we recognize and some that we don't. But I do think that if we reach out to them and say you have 48 hours to confirm or withdraw and you get no response, I don't think that's the person I want in the leadership position. If they say, I'm so sorry, I missed it, or they've already said 8 o'clock tonight doesn't work for me, they stay on.
I think the only
I
person,
agree. I don't think that's a big ask at all.
yeah, that's fair.
I think the only, I think if I remember right, Christian, you said that Emily Corns said she just couldn't make it tonight. And that would leave only that William,
No, there's more. There's Patrick and there's William somebody.
Patrick
Patrick.
withdrew.
Patrick withdrew.
Okay, sorry.
The William, I think it was Mason.
William Mason.
That is the one that I have no insight to add. That's the one name that's a bit of a mystery. I haven't had any direct relationship with at this point.
Maybe he'll reply.
Well,
Yeah,
we
so-
all have his email address and telephone number. Someone call.
No, I'm happy as your election coordinator.
Yeah, you got to do that.
Carry it to
Bill.
the end. I'll take care of reaching out. I'll email them and then I'll follow up with a phone call.
Yeah, I mean, I don't want to be like overly process oriented about this, but sometimes I know, new organizations get trapped when like they start doing things and they haven't like thought through some of the ramifications.
Fair.
And I mean, if we don't have a process for not accepting someone's self-nomination, then I'm slightly uncomfortable about saying, oh, I know you filled out the form, but we're not actually allowing you to nominate yourself. Now,
Sure.
I mean, I do think that it's worth, like, we could, state like this is going out and we don't have a public a statement from this person or participation in a nomination meeting, and then give them the opportunity to withdraw. And if someone gets elected because no one else is,
I-
in the seat, then they could always choose not to accept the position. I'm just slightly uncomfortable about like actually sort of making up an ad hoc rule to cover it when we haven't been clear before soliciting nominations.
I would second Lee on that. We, in the bylaws, we have a process to remove an unwanted member. If that is a process we need to initiate because they're absentee or what have you, we can cross that bridge when we get to it. But if they did everything to get on the ballot, then I think we should leave them on the ballot.
Okay, well, I'm good. I just want the consensus. So I'll start the ball by reaching out to them and seeing what they say, and they might withdraw, or they might say, no, I want to stay on it, whatever it is. And then it's the consensus then if they don't withdraw, we'll simply leave them on the ballot. And we're going to make some changes with, obviously we have to move Emily over, right?
Yep.
And
Because
yeah, so, but it just is what it is. It's just a non-issue anyway for those who are running against someone. But
Right.
To Lee's point, I share the discomfort. I mean, I think that makes sense. I just want to make sure we're all on the same page, because if I put them on the ballot, they're likely to win. Because they're running opposed.
I would say that is one of the the beautiful things and the risks of democracy and elections. I mean, my state representative was dead in November. They had to have a special election to replace him. So that this happens even at large scale.
Okay.
I think that, and not to say that we're trying to replicate what dysfunction is happening at large scale, but it's an example of sometimes the person who makes it on the ballot isn't always able to represent.
All right, well, then I will I will follow that guidance, and I thank you all for humoring me for a near hour while we were going through this process. I think it was great. I'm sorry that everybody wasn't able to be here, but kudos to the folks that took the time. And I can tell you, I actually filled out the form on my phone, and it sucks. So it was the best way I could figure out how to, before I asked somebody else to fill out the nomination form, I had to actually do it to see what I was asking them to do. So it was a pain in the butt, and I appreciate the people going through the process, and on behalf of all of us. And with that, I'm going to kick this.
We can use this as a learning lesson for our next election.
Well, hopefully we'll have more than 20 people at the nominating meeting, and we'll have more than 8 people wanting the office. Or 12 people wanting office on the next election.
Well,
So,
on the plus side on that,
yes, sir.
just for information, after this election, we are going to start staggering our officers' terms. The chairman will be up for re-elections on presidential years. Half the regional chairs will be up for re-election on the year after a presidential year. My election will be in the next midterm year, and the other half of regional chairs will be up for re-election on the year before the next presidential election.
So, and that's going to be part of the bylaws, right, Ben?
Yep.
So that reminds me, I'm so glad you said that. 'Cause I got 3 notes on this piece of paper here, so I wouldn't forget what I forgot, which is I've been asked to add one more question on the ballot on whether or not we'd like term limits. And so, you know, the terms are all for, I think, 4 years, right, Ben?
Correct. All our officers have 4 years terms,
Right.
except for the initial term.
Which is subject to the odd even years, right? Right. So, so the question becomes, we'll give choices between, you know, one of the choices will be no term limits, one of the choices be a single term. And then we should have a couple more choices. Should I have like two terms?
2, 3, and 4.
2, 3, and 4? Okay. So it's 1, 2,
question.
3. Yes.
Hi, it's Robert. So I was wondering if the bylaws were released to everyone. So that, like, have people already seen this, or is just a closed group, like closed committee, who has the bylaws right now?
We are about to release them, release the draft, and it's probably going to be around May 6th. I'm going to schedule an event to do a read through of the entire bylaws. That will be on a Saturday. We want to get it done, want to do that event before the May 20th Leadership Summit in Gettysburg. But we also want to right now they're being reviewed by National, and I would like to have an opportunity for them to finish reviewing them.
Cool.
Yes,
sounds good.
I will be recording the read through, and in fact, I will probably, when I create the event, I will also include a copy of the bylaws that you can download.
And I'd like to comment a little bit on that too, Robert. So the bylaws have no way been created in a vacuum. So while Ben is our resident attorney, has been, you know, done yeoman's work trying to put it together over the last 6 months. Every time there's been a draft, there's been, you know, meetings, discussions. He's made it very open to invite people to the bylaw drafting committee meetings. Almost all of us have made at least one. Ben's made all of them, of course. We had people who kind of like sort of jumped in out of the clear blue and expressed very strong opinions about the bylaws when they, you know, like months after that it was underway. We took their opinions to heart, went back, looked at it again. Ben made some other drafts. So, And the process says is they don't exist until the summit anyway, when the new officers ratify it, right? So it's like the process is we elect officers and then Ben finishes the final draft. Some point you have to vet it, you have to sign the painting. You can always then amend it in the future, but at some point you just have to say, this is what we're going to work with until until we go through the amendment process, right?
And also, I mean, Jack, Ben's got a process, but if somebody wants them, we'll give them a copy right now.
Yeah.
We need to belabor these things. We've talked this to death too many times. Yeah. So I'll even send you my copy, Robert.
Yeah.
That's, I mean, it's okay. I don't need to, I don't need
No,
to,
it's an open process.
That's great. Yeah. Just was wondering how close it is to the nationals version, because we just did our own bylaws. It might not be nearly as long as you guys, but we had some key changes of some certain things with discussing, but overall I think we did quite well for our bylaws, for our chapter of ARIA chapter in Philly. But I mean, this is great. Yeah, I just was concerned how the national did it, as far as like if you change over the chair during a presidential year, it just blipped in my head. So, but maybe national, you guys already thought of that. Like you don't want to like change someone over in the middle of like the season, to use like a basketball analogy. You don't want to like, choose a new head coach in the middle of the basketball season. So like if during a presidential year, that's like a big like time for us, then maybe it could be staggered a little bit, but I don't know. I don't know how the bylaws are worded.
Well,
Which bylaws are you, sorry, which bylaws are you referring to that you were working on, Robert?
Oh, so I'm the second vice president of the ARIA Greater Philadelphia chapter. So it doesn't have anything to do with Ford or Democrats or anything. It's the Asian Real Estate Association. I think I disclosed this a long time ago, but I was also the YGPC in the 2020 election. So I'm like wholeheartedly the Yang guy. Like it's embarrassing how Yang I am. Like everyone around me in the realtors group I am, they're like, oh yeah, that guy. Yeah, I'm sure he knows like all what's going on. And then like have people like emailing me, oh yeah, something with the Yang. Yeah. So it's been out there already. So I'm 100% for the cause. I'm just trying to see what we have going on as far as national versus ours, which I'm sure you guys did wonderful. I'm just I appreciate a lot of the analytics. You guys really like look at a lot of the a lot of the parts, kind of consider what could go wrong. And certain groups that I've been in, they just don't care. They just like whatever's popular, they run with it. And it's like, all right, well, we're kind of headed and we're not sure what direction, but then we have to backtrack sometimes because people just want to like push an agenda. It's kind of annoying, but this I'm really grateful. You guys like maybe we kind of think more alike. We want to get the process right and do things the right way, and not have to redo it. So this is cool though. I'm looking forward to all that, and I'm sure the bylaws are great.
Yeah, and one thing we should note that whenever there is a change in the state chair, the immediate previous past chair is also will be also a member of the executive committee and also on the state committee. So it's not whenever we have a change in that office, it is not a major transition every time. So they're still part of the team, but they're not being, but it's still an opportunity to have that election.
Oh yeah, good call. That's what we do too at ARIA. You always have the past president a part of the executive committee or team. So awesome. Thanks, man.
Can I ask if there's a time for that bylaws read through on May 6th?
It will probably be in the afternoon-ish because I am usually busy on Saturday mornings. So it will when I get back to my apartment and be able to read through it. So, and I will also have like I said, I will be recording it and it will be available on the YouTube, what I recently created for these things.
So if you guys don't mind a quick process check, I promise everybody will get in the loop of when it's going to be and have an opportunity to weigh in on the bylaws. If we can just we're down to, I just want to be respectful of everybody's time. We're down to 17 minutes left to let Tim wrap up the finance and fundraising report and get a couple of, I think, some pretty cool reports from our current regional interim chairs. So if we can do that, then we'll take other questions at the end, if we can. Tim, you want to chat about the finance and fundraising?
Yeah, I'll be quick, being that we're overtime. Basically, what we want to do, many of you know, some of you don't, that we're in the middle of a very aggressive campaign to try to raise a bunch of money to basically have Pennsylvanians represented at the national forum and our own summit. But the purpose, to reiterate what Bill said earlier, is to get people engaged, and all of you can play a very active role. And so our really objective is to build a sustaining relationship among all of our citizens in Pennsylvania, county by county, region by region. We want to raise as much as $22,000 to send people to the Colorado Summit for the national. That would send 10 people to Colorado based on national fundraising. They asked us to raise 5 to send 2 delegates, and then allowed us to send an additional 8. We added another $5,000 for airfare. That would fully fund a full delegation. It will be very challenging for us to reach that goal, but we're going to raise as much money as we can. And we're also raising, since we'd already planned our own May summit, it's changed significantly, and we probably won't need the full 8,000. But we want to raise money for our own summit to organize the state. And so we want to raise up to $8,000 for that and additional summits. There's other talks about summits in the summer and other activities. So that's what our objectives are, the goals. The progress to date, if you can move on, Bill, the progress to date is that we've got $5,500 pledged from 18 individuals. You can be very proud that 14 of the leadership team members made initial gifts, and I'll cover that in a little bit. But we've raised significant money. Andrew Yang was in town a couple of weeks ago, and he actually offered a challenge gift, helped us get to that bigger number, and we'll be challenging additional pledges from non-leadership individuals, and 3 have already pledged. We've identified 51 people who've given previously to Forward of over $100, about 6 over $500, 3 of which are in this campaign, and about another 40 or so that have given over $100. We are still searching for individuals and companies who could give us as much as $5,000, ideally even $10,000 to get a $30,000 goal. We have 3 people identified who we might be able to get them to make a gift. And that's kind of where we are. So if you have any idea of people who have a great capacity, who are inclined to support what we support, given what I said earlier about telling the story about Forward, let us know and we'll help you figure a way to approach them. It's important to take 1 second to learn about philanthropic basis. The next slide, please. The most important thing to remember is that people give to people. And that's why it's so important for individuals to ask individuals to make their contributions. We will eventually send to 5,000 records, but we don't get a lot of response from emailing cold people who haven't been involved. We want to seek individuals to act. Going back to what Bill said, we want people to give their time. We want them to give their talent, like Brian earlier talked about his capacity to help with communications, and then eventually their money, their treasure. all of that is valuable according to your interest and your capacity. We only ask people to give to their capacity, not what they can't give. It's one of the messages that we're trying to convey is every message, and we're challenged to this, has to be concise, has to be clear, has to be compelling. And that's across the board for any kind of communications. You may have heard the old saying, this story would have been shorter, but I didn't have time. So we have to practice what we want to say to people. Okay, where we are right now, the next slide, in order to be successful, the leadership, again, the next slide, please. The leadership has indeed given almost $4,000 from 14 people. There's been $1,000 gift, 3 $500 gifts, 4 gifts over 200, 6 gifts under 100. Gifts are from everywhere from $20 to $1,000. And that's the way fundraising is. You just can, some people can give a lot, some people have a lot of time, some people are very talented, and we want a little bit of each of those things from folks. We do have Andrew Yang's matching challenge gift, and that's very helpful. We are planning to do a phone-a-thon if any of you are interested in contacting people in the next 2 weeks. And then we eventually will have communication to everybody. We'll be sending out some information to all of you so that you can even give now. There's a state page on the Nation Builder, and there's the hyperlinks to it. We might have a QRT code, but now is the time to raise the money. We're over $6,000 almost totally, and we're going to be very successful. It'll be very hard to raise much more than $10,000 or $15,000, but we're really going to do the best we can. I think we're the only state in the union that has such an aggressive objective, because we want to fund a full 10 delegate representation to the national summit in June. And we'll see what we can do about getting there. Any questions or answers, suggestions that you might have at this point? If you know of anybody who could make a more significant gift of 1,000 or 5,000, just give me a call and let me know, and then we can talk about strategy. But we have 3 of those people right now that we're going.
What is the pledge process, Tim?
The pledge process is you let me know what you pledge, and that way I'm keeping track of it.
And when is when does a pledge come due, basically?
Pledge comes due whenever you can pay it. The pledge, the payment process, and it's working pretty well. The payment process, and we'll give you the hyperlinks. It's forward_party/donate_Pennsylvania. And it's the page they make the gift to national, and they record it. And we've developed a good relationship with them. They're reporting it to us. Brian gets a copy of the gift. And so it's being tracked. That was our biggest concern about tracking. So I'm keeping track of it. Like we have almost 6,000 pledged. We have almost 5,000 paid. So you can pay it whenever you can pay it. And again, we want to be very user friendly. What we're saying to people, give what you can give now. One person said, I'm not so sure about this whole thing. I'll give this amount now. Maybe I'll give more later. And that's where we all are individually. So we really would like all of you to consider making a gift. Again, we said to the leadership a month ago, we want you to give first. And all but 2 or 3, and all the ones that are core leaders have given. And we can thank all of you that are in that. And the rest of you, please consider giving. Some of you are on this call maybe for the first time. So you're going to have to, this is a gift of faith on all of our parts. We talk about the next election. Let's hope we have a next election. But that's the faith journey that we're all on. And the questions are appropriate, so just ask them, and we have a pretty good answer. You can contact me or any of the leadership, and we'll be sending some information to you.
And I also put the link in the chat, so if you want to.
Oh, did you? Good, way to go, Ben. And also there was some concern about national writing our page, and it's all about a $5,000 objective, but we have a much more aggressive objective. And so thanks to Brian again, because he knows how to do it. I have no idea. He went in and was able to edit it to talk about, again, sending a full delegation to the national convention and funding our own summit and our own activities as we go forward. So it is a bit of a, we're raising money before we're really ready to, but we're all on a pretty much a very positive faith mission. We got to send a positive mission of why we're here. And all of you earlier talked about why you're here. That we want to pass to other people, and there are other people in the community who are willing to support us. So thank you very much. And again, any questions or suggestions, we're open. Thanks for posting that, Ben. That's fantastic in the chat.
Well, thank you, Tim. Any other questions for Tim? Tim's super responsive with answers, so feel free to reach out to him directly. So Christian, shall we poll the?
Yeah, so quickly, I'm going to just cover this slide and have a couple other announcements. And then as I'm doing that, for the team leaders who are still here on this call, if you have any quick announcements when I'm done here to give an update of any events that are happening or meetings that people could join. We do have our drop-in sessions Mondays on a regular basis at 11:30. Our framework sessions on Tuesday night at 8 o'clock, where we have robust conversations over different topics, and certainly would entertain any suggestions for topics. If there's something that you're passionate about, if you want to help lead the conversation or just join in. And I think that tomorrow night, we're going to be talking about mental health is going to be part of that topic. And I have a personal story that I'm going to be sharing and looking for some input from people who join us for that. Our candidate training series, we've had 2 so far. There's going to be a couple more coming up. Ethan Demi is leading those. That's the first Wednesday of the month. They are recorded and available for anyone who wants a copy of the recording. Just reach out and I can get that link sent over to you. It's too large to post on the blog, which is why that's not just posted, but I'm more than happy to share those. We do have May 18th, just prior to the summit, there's going to be a listening roundtable session with Governor Christine Todd Whitman for invited guests, closed door session. If there's someone that you know, or if you want to be considered as a possible invite, reach out to me. Let's have a conversation. We're looking for local community leaders, business leaders, elected officials, former elected officials, people who might be sympathetic to the forward cause or just have questions that might be influencers in the community to participate and share their perspective and their priorities with one of the principles of the national party. And on that same note of gathering priorities, I mentioned at the beginning of the call, there will be a survey going out in the near future regarding the priorities within Pennsylvania. But even aside from that survey, please, we're always listening to hear those priorities that you want to see addressed and be part of the conversation as we're talking to candidates and starting to go through that vetting process. So with that, Ben, did you have an announcement on the research and candidates team?
Not that I know of, but
Okay. It's been a long meeting. Don't feel like you need to. Everyone's been active. If I just wanted to give you a chance. Brian, did you want to speak to the upcoming events in Western PA or?
Yeah. Let me just mention these events. There's one in 2 days. That's April 20th in New Kensington, which is just outside of Pittsburgh. If anyone's free, it's at the Need Community Cafe. And then there's also one also in New Kensington. Christian set these up, living in New Kensington there. 10 days from now, that's April 28th. That's Fridays on 5th. Now that'll actually be a tabling event. Is that right, Christian?
That's right. So Fridays on 5th is a community event with a lot of food trucks, some live music. It's an outdoor activity where they shut down the street. It's a lot of fun, something great to bring friends with you that aren't even involved. But we have an opportunity to set up a table and talk about thriving communities, as New Kensington's one of those Rust Belt towns that's on the rebound. And we can kind of survey people live on the spot about what they are appreciating about their thriving community and what else they're looking for. But there's a lot of people who are warm to forward because of the conversations I've had, and to bring in some additional support and have some t-shirts on and just some people to interact with would be great for either of those events. Need Community Cafe event, that's actually the place where I work and serve as general manager. It's a pay what you can cafe. But that's just showing up to have a free meal is a way to do a community service, because the idea of this meal is just for people to sit down and have a meal with neighbors and with other people in the community and get to know one another. And even though you're traveling in from outside of the community, just to take the time to get to see people and hear their story, it's a tremendous service, and would certainly welcome you to join us for that.
And I just also wanted to mention with communication, Bill and some of the couple other folks have been working on a newsletter that'll be soon out. So if you see that, please read it and, chime in with any ideas if you'd like to help create that every month. That'll be a great way to have, we'll share events that we're having and events that partner groups are having. So we also need someone interacting with some of our other partner groups that can help relay back their event schedules to us for that.
Yeah, we definitely need some help in the newsletter. So if anybody's willing, send us an email, give us a call, whatever you want. You're on board if you ask.
I think Kyle had to jump, and I know Hector wasn't able to join us tonight. So those are the other two regions. Does anyone want to speak? I know that there's Kyle mentioned earlier, a meeting tomorrow night in that region. Does someone want to speak to that, just to make sure everyone knows that information?
I believe it's at 8 p.m. tomorrow, yeah, the Philly Regional Call. He does usually send something out day of or the night before with the link. So keep an eye out for that Philly Regional Call tomorrow.
Anyone that's not getting those emails that's interested in getting that link, if you can just drop a note in the chat now, and hopefully either Rachel or Kelly, somebody else who's been on those calls, can help to pass that link forward to you. All right. Bill, did you have any announcements tonight?
Talking to me or Bill Jones?
I was actually talking to Bill Jones that time.
Okay.
The Bills.
No, not really. Just looking forward to the summit, and I'm meeting with hopefully on Wednesday, I'm meeting with a donor that could be worth some money or maybe some leads to other donors. So we'll see. Hopefully Wednesday at 3 o'clock, I'm meeting with this guy. So hopefully wish me luck. Okay.
Thank you. Yes, and good luck. And one of the conversations we had this morning at the drop-in is about, as we approach donors, the truth is, for us to have our coffers filled a little bit to be able to support candidates, we need to ask for money. That's part of what we're raising money for. Initially, it's to travel to Colorado and to host our own summit. We're going to be having a Forward Together tour, hopefully before the end of the year, possibly in summer. But then we also need to be able to have something in the bank account to support some candidates as we start getting people who want to run us forward. We don't want to make any promises. This isn't quid pro quo, but we want to find people who are excited about what we're doing and align with what the types of things that we're trying to move forward, right? So we certainly appreciate you helping to make those connections and helping encourage people to give for a new kind of politics. Hopefully, if they support us, if we win and bring more competition, they won't have to pay their bribes.
Christian, let me mention also in the East, supposedly, and Kyle, I know Kyle hasn't confirmed it, we're having a get together on April 27th in the Southeast.
Okay.
That's been on his schedule for at least a month, but I have not heard a commitment yet. But everybody in the East can look forward to that.
Great, great. All right. Bill Detweiler, did you have something else to add? Announcement?
No, just the solicitation for help for the newsletter. That's it.
Yeah, great.
Hey,
All right.
Christian, one more
Yes.
little thing. Anybody of this group or any other group that decides they ever want to run for office, call me. I've done it, been there, can give you some insights.
Great. Thank you for that, Bill. Absolutely. It's exciting that we can start thinking about candidates and know that that's going to be in our future here. Jack, thank you for leading the election portion of the meeting tonight. It was great to hear a little bit about everyone who's running, and I look forward to putting some other people on the spot, maybe not 12 at a time, but having one or two from the leadership team, but also just from the Pennsylvania constituency, giving a chance to introduce yourself and tell a little bit of your story in future meetings. We really want to get to know one another and help build the Ford community. So thank you for being here, and look forward to getting together again in the future. Have a great night.
You too.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.
Good night.
Good night.